Okay, we are going live right now. Starting to see some people filter in. Not a ton of people this morning. That is totally fine. So today may end up being a slightly shorter one as well, which is totally good. Um, cool. I'm just gonna wait maybe another 45 seconds to see if anyone else filters in, and then we'll get started. Okay, so we can go ahead and get started. Not a ton of people here today, but that is totally fine. Um, for those of you who are watching this, we usually like to start out the office hours with, um, sorry, Caitlin, I think you came on mute, and so I'm hearing an echo. Okay, great. We usually like to start these off just with a quick demo. So last week we talked about the Mindsmith MCP, but I don't think we actually showed how to connect it to your existing tools or how it works in real life. So I wanted to show that today. I also wanted to show a couple of other things that were new as of this week. So I'll start out just by sharing my screen quickly. I wanted to start off with how to connect Mindsmith, the Mindsmith MCP, to your existing tools. So let me share my screen really quickly. So what you're seeing here is this is the Mindsmith Help Center. So I would recommend anyone who is wanting to use the MCP, and to be honest, if you're a Mindsmith user at all, I would recommend that you check out our Help Center. But the Help Center covers how to connect the Mindsmith MCP to your different tools. So we go through every single tool here. So if you're using Copilot, Copilot I would say is probably the hardest one to connect to. So if you're a Copilot user, Copilot for some reason doesn't like to support MCP servers super nicely yet. But my guess is that it soon will. If you use Claude, then I would recommend, the Claude Web or desktop. Or if you're using ChatGPT, I'd recommend ChatGPT. So I'll show you ChatGPT and I'll show you Claude today. So if you want to connect Mindsmith to ChatGPT, it's pretty easy. You'll just go into your settings, you'll go into apps. What you do have to do is enable developer mode. So here in this, when you go to advanced settings in your apps, enable developer mode, and then what you want to do is create a new app. So an MCP server in ChatGPT, they call it an app. So you just create an app, you give it a name. So I would give it Mindsmith, and we'll just call it Mindsmith MCP. And then you want to give it an MCP server URL. So that is here in the Help Center. So it's just this app.mindsmith.ai/API/MCP. So you just upload that. Authentication you keep as OAuth. And then understand, want to continue, and then you would create it. I've already created one, so I'm not going to create another one, but it will take you right into Mindsmith to log in, and you can go from there. And it should be pretty easy. And then when you're in ChatGPT, you can start a new chat. And I could say, here's one I did earlier. I said, hey, can you look through my Teamspace in Mindsmith to find every lesson on effective communication, then find the oldest lesson and replace the word communication with the word correspondence. So I basically told it, hey, I want you to look through my entire library and I want you to do this kind of like AI-driven find and replace. Okay, it said, yeah, search through Mindsmith resources. I found 68 matching Mindsmith lessons. The oldest match is this one, created on February 11th. I'm applying the requested word change. And then it went through and made the change. And then it gave me the link to the lesson that it changed. So, yeah, that's a pretty straightforward example of using Mindsmith within ChatGPT. But again, for those who weren't here yesterday, the MCP is a really powerful tool if you want to use Mindsmith within some of the apps that you've already created, or if you're building agents for your, own use or for your company. So you may, for example, I like to share a couple of these examples. So the Mindsmith MCP server has access to searching through your entire library of content, and it can deploy sub-agents to make any updates. So if you wanted to say, hey, the name of our CEO changed, I need you to look through all my content and make this update, it can go through your content, find all the name of the old CEOs, the old CEO, and replace it with a new one. You can do the same thing for assets. You may say, hey, we also need to update the image, the picture of our CEO, and it can go in and make those changes. It also has access to your analytics through your lessons. You may say something like, hey, I want you to um, go through my analytics, show me where people are dropping off in lessons on this subject, and then make a recommendation on how I can improve the content. And then you can ask it to actually go in and make the change. So the MCP sort of sits above your entire Mindsmith library and allows your LLM to go into Mindsmith and do, make any changes or updates it needs to make. Um, I will shout out as well, kind of maybe the more exciting part of this is if you are into designing agents or it's that's something you're interested in, Mindsmith is one of the tools through the MCP that your agents can use. So you may create an agent that says, hey, I want you to look at our help center every week or look at the Slack channel that has our updates, and then anytime that there's an update in the Slack channel or to our help center, I want you to look through my corpus of e-learning content and tell me what I should update based on those changes. So you can create these agents that are helping you manage much more autonomously and proactively your e-learning library. And then for those of you who use Dynamic SCORM, those changes are updated automatically anywhere where that SCORM file sits. So it's a much more streamlined, efficient process for managing assets, managing e-learning content. So that's pretty cool. I did want to show as well how to connect Mindsmith to Claude. So for those of you who use Claude, that's the one we use internally. It's pretty easy. You just go into connectors. You would click add a new connector, add a custom connector, give it a name, give it that same URL. You shouldn't have to play with any of this. And then you click add, and it will do the same process where it'll take you into your browser, you log into Mindsmith, and then it's connected already to your Claude. And I actually ran a similar experiment in Claude Code around. Sorry, I use Claude for a lot of things, so it may be. Oh, no, that was different. Anyway, I won't go into it, but same thing, same process here in Claude. You can create a new session and then run the agent to make any updates or, check out your analytics or, you can create agents. Claude is actually quite a bit better, at least for now, at creating agents. So you can create like a scheduled Claude code task. You can create a skill that would help, deploy the agent. So that is how we are thinking about the Mindsmith MCP and a little bit of insight into how to connect it up to your systems. One thing I did want to, well, actually two things I wanted to show as well that are updates from the last week. One is you can now upload a library of content. Just give me 1 second. My Wi-Fi is being a little slow. There we go. So let me show you how to manage your library of content in Mindsmith. So it's pretty easy. Okay, yeah, I should be showing the right screen. So there are two places to get to your media library. The first is here on the site. So you can upload images, videos, documents, and then when are referencing them later, we just make it really easy to reference those images, videos, and documents. So you would just click upload, you would choose the file from your computer, and then you would go from there. So that's a little bit on Media Library, which is pretty exciting, very cool. The other place, by the way, to get to it is when you are creating a lesson or a course, you click attach, you can pull up in the media library. So you can upload to your media library or you can pull from existing stuff in your media library. So no, you don't have to re-upload stuff anymore. And then eventually we'll probably have the ability to connect via API to an existing media library and have Mindsmith search through that library to find relevant images, if you don't want it doing AI generated images. Okay, so that's media library. Another one I want to call out really quickly is tagging a reference lesson. So tagging a reference lesson is similar to tagging a resource in Mindsmith. So you can tell the AI how to look at this reference lesson that you've created. Um, you can so you could say like, hey, I really like this lesson in terms of structure, but the content should be totally different. Or you may say, I like the base content here, but I want to customize it to my organization. So you can again reference other lessons or courses in Mindsmith in the chat interface here. So that's another cool one. The last one I wanted to cover is our updates on the branching scenarios and experiences builder. So these are UI changes, but we've basically just made it a lot easier to navigate the branching scenario builder. So it's just easier to see these arrows than the way that we had it before. And then instead of being WYSIWYG here, each of the different what we call nodes in this builder, you just click edit to jump in and make any edits that you need to make. So it's a little bit more intuitive of a building um, canvas here and gives you a little bit more flexibility than trying to, do it directly into the canvas. So the canvas acts more as a visualizer than it does a builder. Um, It'll also be a little bit faster and more responsive. This canvas, we were using a third party before to host on it, but we just built this one natively. So it's faster and more responsive, which is really nice. So those are some updates that just within the last few days. I know that was maybe a lot more than I normally show to start these office hours, but I think it's helpful to for you all to see, in addition to the Tile Tuesdays, to also see it here in the office hours. So I'm going to pause there and I'm going to open it up to the floor for anyone who has questions. So for those who have done these before, feel free to raise your hand. So raising hand is going to be the easiest way. Or if you want to type into the Q&A chat, then I can answer those live as well. So I'm just going to open it up. If you have questions, raise your hand and we'll kind of start moving through those questions. Yeah, Curtis.
So when you were just showing that role play and the canvas, how do you get to that view?
Sure. Yeah. So that is in the role play, or we're kind of in between names. We call it role play in the interface here. Or no, we call it experience. So you would add an experience. You can of course generate one with AI, or you can generate one from scratch. And then within that experience, you would just click edit experience, and it'll bring you directly to the new view.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
great feature and just started playing around with it. So good. And I have
Awesome.
a second question about the dynamic SCORM. So I had we have a course resting on an LMS through dynamic SCORM. So we're just testing those features out and changes that we make. And we deleted a few pages in the SCORM. I'm sorry, in the course, and it didn't it like disappeared from the LMS. It wasn't connected anymore. So we're just wondering if we missed a step or what.
Are you saying that the lesson didn't update according to the changes you made, or are you saying that the SCORM file stopped functioning entirely?
The scoring file stopped functioning.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard of a bug like that.
Okay.
Do you have my email, Curtis?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, shoot me an email and I'll loop in Patrick, who's our SCORM guy.
Okay. Now
Yeah,
we
we'll make
we did
sure.
a lot of work over the past few days and just really getting into it. So everything else is working great. So
Oh, good. I'm glad. But we need to get that other thing working for you too. So, yeah, we'll do some QA, make sure it's working for you.
great. Thanks.
You are welcome. Imani, you had a question. Imani, if you're speaking, I can't hear you. So I'm not sure if it's a mic thing. I see you're not on mute. Do you want to maybe type your question into the chat? While Imani's typing that question, feel free anyone else to raise your hand and we can answer any questions in the meantime. Okay, I saw the question just come through from Imani. If we were doing the static SCORM, if we stop using Mindsmith, will that SCORM still work? Yes. So static SCORM is completely standalone. And actually, our dynamic SCORM, we continue to host all of your content for you into perpetuity even after you cancel Mindsmith. So you don't have to worry about us like turning off your SCORM file. But it is good to have the static SCORM just in case. Okay, any other questions? Okay, another question from Imani. I believe we got the business account when AI was unlimited. Will that change? So probably yes. So there are a number of reasons for that. The biggest one is at the price point of business. It just doesn't make sense to do unlimited for forever. But we are giving you a really generous amount of credits, so most of our customers won't hit the limits that we've set for the business account. But yes, it will, the business tier will no longer be unlimited AI generation. I'm not sure when that goes live. I believe it's probably in June or later May. Yes, you're very welcome. So if you do want unlimited, let me know and we can get you onto our enterprise tier. It's a little more expensive, but for many teams, it'll be worth it. And the nice thing about the new business tier is that you'll be able to buy a pool of credits that your team pulls from. So after you've used the credits in your account, there will be a pool that you'll draw from. So if you want to buy incremental credits, then you can do that and sort of up your pool. So you won't be cut off, if you hit your limit. You can always buy more credits. Remind us the address for the custom MCP connection and where to find it. So the best place is help.mindsmith.ai. Let me pull that up and I'll send it in the chat just so you all have it. And then you can search MCP. Let me type answer. Okay, Curtis, I just sent it. So if you check the Q&A chat, it's under answered. Help.mindsmith.ai. But the URL, I think is pretty good. Yeah, it should be consistent across all the different tools. It's app.mindsmith.ai/API/MCP. So that's the URL that you'll end up using. But for reference, the help articles are going to be the best place to find that. Okay. Other questions? All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up. As always, if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email, ethan@mindsmith.ai. If you're a current Mindsmith customer, if you're on our enterprise tier, feel free to also message your customer success manager. Or if you need support, feel free to